Barbados is known for its beaches and tourism, but not every building project has been a success. Here, on this jewel of the Caribbean, where vibrant life teems in the turquoise waters and lush interiors, there are also scars. Not scars carved by nature, but by human ambition. These are the silent, skeletal remains of grand designs, monuments to dreams that have faltered and faded. They stand as stark reminders that even in paradise, progress is not always guaranteed, and that the best of intentions can sometimes lead to the most desolate of outcomes. For every thriving resort and bustling community, there is an echo of what could have been. These are stories of immense financial investment, of bold visions for the future, and of the complex interplay between development, environment, and society. They are tales of projects that promised prosperity but delivered only decay, their concrete shells now being slowly reclaimed by the very nature they sought to dominate. In this journey, we will explore some of the most significant of these ventures. We will walk through the ruins of luxury, examine the empty halls of public works, and question the decisions that led to their downfall. It is a story not just of architectural failure, but of the delicate balance that must be struck to ensure that development truly serves the land and its people. Join me as we uncover the most pointless construction projects in Barbados. Our first subject lies on the Platinum West Coast, a stretch of shoreline synonymous with luxury and opulence. Here, amidst the whispering casuarina trees and the gentle lapping of the Caribbean Sea, stands a colossal skeleton of concrete and steel. This is what remains of the Four Seasons Resort and private residences. It was a project of breathtaking ambition, conceived to be the pinnacle of five-star hospitality on an island already famous for it. The plans were magnificent, promising hundreds of opulent rooms, private villas, and an unparalleled level of service that would attract the world's elite. The initial work began with a great sense of optimism. The ground was cleared, the foundations laid, and the structure began to rise, a testament to the immense capital being poured into its creation. It was to be a beacon of economic growth, providing thousands of jobs during its construction and hundreds more upon its completion. The promise was not just of another hotel, but of a new standard, a development that would elevate the island's reputation to even greater heights. Local and international investors saw it as a foolproof venture in a booming market. But the world of high finance is as unpredictable as the ocean currents. The global financial crisis of 2008 sent shockwaves across the planet, and the tremors were felt acutely here. Funding, once a mighty river, dwindled to a trickle and then stopped altogether. The cacophony of construction fell silent, replaced by the chirping of insects and the rustle of the wind through empty corridors. The dream had stalled, suspended in a state of partial creation, a monument to a global catastrophe. Years passed. The exposed steel began to rust, streaking the pale concrete with weeping trails of orange. Tropical vegetation, ever opportunistic, began its slow and patient reclamation. Vines crept up the pillars, and wild grasses sprouted in what were to be pristine infinity pools. The site became a ghostly presence on the coastline, a stark and haunting contrast to the vibrant, manicured resorts that surrounded it. It was no longer a symbol of future prosperity, but a glaring emblem of economic vulnerability. Several attempts have been made over the years to resurrect the project. New investors would emerge, new plans would be announced, and a flicker of hope would be rekindled among the local population. Each time, however, these efforts have faltered, mired in complex financial negotiations, legal disputes, and the sheer scale of the task. The cost of completing the resort has only grown, as has the cost of rectifying the decay that has set in over a decade of neglect. The structure itself has become a curious part of the landscape. It is a place of unofficial exploration for the adventurous, a canvas for graffiti artists, and a source of endless speculation for locals and tourists alike. Fishermen cast their lines in its shadow, their small boats a poignant contrast to the immense, motionless monolith behind them. The ruin has developed its own ecosystem, a strange habitat where nature and human failure coexist in a delicate melancholic balance. The story of the Four Seasons is a cautionary one. It speaks to the dangers of overambition and the fragility of economic systems that seem, on the surface, to be invincible. It demonstrates how global events can have profound and lasting local consequences, leaving behind not just financial loss but physical scars on the landscape that endure for generations. It is a powerful symbol of wasted potential, a constant silent question mark hanging over one of the most beautiful coastlines in the world. Today, it stands not as a place of luxury but as a silent testament to a dream deferred indefinitely. The sea breeze moves through its hollow shell, carrying not the sounds of laughter and music, but a quiet, mournful sigh. The sun sets, casting long shadows from its skeletal frame, a daily reminder of the grand vision that was lost, swallowed by the tides of financial fortune and the patient, inexorable advance of nature. On the rugged, windswept southeastern coast, perched atop a cliff overlooking the tumultuous Atlantic, lies the legend of Sam Lord's Castle. This was not merely a hotel, it was a piece of Barbadian heritage. Built in the early 19th century, the original Georgian mansion was famed for its exquisite craftsmanship and the notorious tales of its owner, the pirate Sam Lord, who was said to have lured ships to their doom on the nearby reefs. For decades it operated as a cherished hotel, a place of history and romance. But time and tragedy took their toll, culminating in a devastating fire in 2010 that left the grand house a gutted shell. From these ashes, a new vision was born, a grand redevelopment that would not only restore the castle to its former glory, but also surround it with a sprawling, modern luxury resort. The plans were ambitious, promising to blend the historical significance of the site with the demands of contemporary tourism. It was to be a flagship project for the government, a symbol of resilience and a powerful engine for the local economy, promising employment and a renewed sense of pride in this historic corner of the island. The project began, but its journey has been anything but smooth. It has been a story of fits and starts, a cycle of progress followed by prolonged periods of inactivity. The initial demolition and site clearance gave way to a frustratingly slow pace of construction. Deadlines were announced with great fanfare, only to be quietly missed. The reasons cited were numerous and complex. Media group, close-up of financial documents, frustrated project managers in meetings, shipping containers and blocked access roads at its stock at distribute_equally. Difficulties in securing consistent funding, logistical challenges, and the intricate process of merging a modern build with a protected historical structure. For the surrounding communities in the parish of St. Philip, the project has become a source of deep frustration. The promise of jobs and economic revitalization has felt at times like a mirage that recedes with each passing year. Local residents, who once looked upon the castle with pride, now view the sprawling construction site with a mixture of hope and weary skepticism. The constant delays have created an atmosphere of uncertainty, a feeling that the dream they were sold may never fully materialize. The physical state of the site reflects this troubled history. While significant progress has been made, with new buildings taking shape around the restored shell of the original castle, the stop-start nature of the work has been evident. For long stretches, the cranes have stood still, silent sentinels over a half-finished resort. The project's narrative has become one of overcoming obstacles, of pushing forward against the odds, but the finish line has remained stubbornly out of reach for far longer than anyone anticipated. This redevelopment is a lesson in the immense complexity of large-scale public-private partnerships, especially those involving historical restoration. The desire to preserve heritage while creating a commercially viable entity is a delicate balancing act. The Sam Lord's Castle project demonstrates how easily this balance can be disrupted by media group, stacks of unpaid invoices, red tape and official documents, empty offices with paperwork scattered at its stock at distribute_equally, financial instability and bureaucratic hurdles, turning a project of national importance into a protracted saga of delays and revised timelines. The impact extends beyond the balance sheets and construction schedules. It affects the very morale of the nation. High-profile projects like this are more than just buildings, they are symbols of national capability and progress. When they falter, they can cast a long shadow of doubt. The saga of Sam Lord's Castle has become emblematic of the challenges Barbados faces in bringing its most ambitious development goals to fruition. As work continues, the hope remains that this historic site will one day reopen its doors, its grand halls once again filled with guests, and its economic promise finally fulfilled. But until that day comes, it stands as a monumental example of how even the most culturally significant and well-intentioned projects can become mired in a seemingly endless cycle of delay, a castle of stalled dreams waiting for its long-overdue awakening. Chapter 3. We move now from the world of luxury tourism to a project intended to serve a fundamental human need: housing. In the parish of St. Michael we find the Grotto Housing Complex. This development was conceived with a noble purpose: to provide affordable modern living spaces for Barbadian families. The design was clean and contemporary, a collection of apartment blocks intended to create a vibrant new community. On paper it was a model of progressive urban planning, a direct response to the island's housing needs. The construction was completed and the building stood ready, a neat and orderly collection of homes. But a strange silence soon settled over the complex. The anticipated influx of families did not happen. Unit after unit remained empty. The playgrounds were devoid of children's laughter, the communal spaces were unused, and the rows of balconies were bare. What was designed to be a bustling neighborhood became an eerie, quiet testament to a profound miscalculation. The core of the problem appears to be a disconnect between the vision of the planners and the reality of the people it was meant to serve. The pricing and rental models, though intended to be affordable, were reportedly out of reach for many of the families in the target demographic. There were whispers of bureaucratic hurdles and a complex application process that deterred potential residents. The very people who needed the housing the most found themselves unable to access it. This situation highlights a critical flaw that can plague public projects: a failure to adequately consult with and understand the community. A housing development is more than just bricks and mortar, it is the creation of a social fabric. If the design, location, or financial structure does not align with the cultural and economic realities of its intended inhabitants, it cannot succeed. The grotto stands as a physical manifestation of this gap between policy and people. The under-occupancy has a cascading effect. An empty building deteriorates faster than an occupied one. Without a consistent community to care for the space, minor maintenance issues can be overlooked, leading to a gradual decline. The sense of emptiness can also create a stigma, making the complex even less attractive to potential new residents. It becomes a self-perpetuating cycle of vacancy and neglect, a solution to a problem that has inadvertently created a new one. Visually, the effect is unsettling. The buildings are relatively new, yet they possess an air of abandonment. One can walk through the clean, empty corridors and feel a profound sense of wasted opportunity. Each locked door represents a family that could be housed, a life that could be improved. The project, built with public funds, is not delivering its intended social return on investment. It is a dormant asset, a solution in waiting. The story of the Grotto Housing Complex is not one of financial collapse or dramatic ruin, but of a quieter, more insidious failure. It is the failure of implementation, the gap between a well-intentioned plan and its real-world execution. It serves as a crucial reminder that successful social projects require more than just construction. They demand deep community engagement, flexible financial models, and a genuine understanding of the human element. Ultimately, the grotto is a neighborhood without neighbors, a community without a soul. It is a collection of houses that have not yet become homes. Its silent, unoccupied units pose a persistent and uncomfortable question. How can we build for the people if we do not first understand their needs? It is a lesson in humility for planners and policymakers everywhere. Chapter 4. Our journey now takes us to the eastern parish of St. John, to the small, traditional fishing village of Skeets Bay. This is a community with a deep and abiding connection to the sea, where fishing is not just an industry but a way of life passed down through generations. To support this vital local economy, a new fish market was constructed. The vision was clear: to provide the local fishermen with a modern, hygienic facility to land, clean and sell their catch, and to create a hub that could attract both locals and tourists, boosting prosperity in this rural area. The building itself was completed, a sturdy, functional structure with stalls, cleaning stations, and storage. It stood as a symbol of government investment in the grassroots economy, a promise of support for the small-scale fishermen who are the backbone of communities like this. It was meant to be a place of commerce and community, filled with the daily hustle and bustle of the fishing trade. That, however, is not what happened. Today, the Skeets Bay Fish Market sits largely silent and unused. The stainless steel counters are clean not from constant use but from a lack of it. The expected crowds of vendors and customers never materialized. The fishermen, for the most part, have continued with their traditional methods, selling their catch directly from their boats or from informal roadside stalls just as they have always done. The modern facility built for their benefit has been largely bypassed. The reasons for this failure are rooted in a misunderstanding of location and logistics. While Skeets Bay is a fishing village, it is also relatively remote and not on a major thoroughfare. The market struggled to attract the critical mass of foot traffic needed to make it a viable commercial enterprise. For many Barbadians, it was simply more convenient to purchase fish from vendors in more accessible locations along their daily commute. The market's success depended on changing established consumer habits, a notoriously difficult task. Furthermore, there seems to have been a lack of a comprehensive support strategy. Building the physical structure was only the first step. A successful market requires promotion, vendor support, and integration into the wider tourism and economic landscape. Without a sustained effort to build the market's reputation and create reasons for people to travel there, it was left to fend for itself in a location that was, from a commercial standpoint, at a significant disadvantage. The market's idleness is a source of disappointment for the very people it was intended to help. It represents a significant investment that has failed to deliver on its promise. For the fishermen, it is a constant reminder of a missed opportunity, a well-intentioned effort that ultimately did not align with the practical realities of their trade and the behavior of their customers. The building stands, but the market as a living, breathing entity never truly came to life. This is a poignant example of how infrastructure alone is not a solution. A project's success is determined by how well it integrates into the existing social and economic ecosystem. The Skeets Bay Fish Market was a solution looking for a problem that, in the eyes of its intended users, was already being solved in a more traditional and convenient manner. It failed to offer a compelling enough reason for fishermen and customers to change their ways. And so, the facility remains, a clean, modern, and mostly empty building by the sea. It is a monument to the idea that if you build it, they will come is not always a reliable strategy. It is a lesson in the importance of market research, logistical planning, and understanding the powerful inertia of tradition. The sound that should be the clamor of commerce is instead the quiet lapping of the waves, a natural rhythm that has long outlasted this attempt to change it. Chapter 5. Our final case study takes us to the windswept, geologically unique Scotland district, in the parish of St. Andrew. Here we find the story of the Greenland landfill, perhaps the most infamous and controversial public works project in Barbados's recent history. The island's existing landfill was nearing capacity, and the search for a new site was a matter of national urgency. After extensive studies, this location at Greenland was chosen. The government presented it as a scientifically sound, long-term solution to the country's waste management problem. The plan was to create a state-of-the-art sanitary landfill, engineered to the highest environmental standards. It was a project born of necessity, a critical piece of infrastructure required for the smooth functioning of a modern nation. The government invested millions of dollars in its initial development. Roads were cut, the land was excavated, and a massive lining system designed to prevent toxic leachate from contaminating the soil and groundwater was installed. The physical work was immense, scarring the landscape in preparation for its new purpose. However, from the very beginning, the project was met with fierce and sustained opposition. Environmentalists and geologists raised serious alarms. The Scotland district is a geologically active and unstable area, prone to land slippage. Critics argued that building a landfill here was a catastrophic mistake, risking a major environmental disaster. There were grave concerns that the liner could rupture, poisoning the pristine natural environment and the nearby coastline, which is a vital sea turtle nesting ground. The public outcry was immense. The opposition was not just from a handful of activists, it was a broad-based movement that included local residents, scientific experts, and a significant portion of the general populace. They saw the project not as a solution, but as a reckless gamble with the island's fragile ecosystem. The debate became a national conversation about the balance between development and environmental preservation, and the government's responsibility to protect the island's natural heritage. Despite the significant investment already sunk into the site, the mounting pressure became politically untenable. The scientific arguments against the site, combined with the passionate public opposition, created a perfect storm. The government was forced to reconsider. After years of debate and millions of dollars spent, the Greenland landfill project was officially abandoned. The half-built facility was never used for its intended purpose. The site today is a bizarre and costly relic. The massive excavated bowl in the earth remains a testament to the grand scale of the abandoned plan. The expensive lining system lies buried and unused. Nature is slowly beginning to heal the scars, but the evidence of the aborted project is still starkly visible. It is a monument to a colossal planning misstep, and a symbol of the power of public opposition to halt a project in its tracks. The Greenland landfill saga is a powerful lesson in the importance of comprehensive environmental impact assessments and genuine public consultation. It demonstrates that even when a project is deemed a national necessity, the where and how are critically important. The failure to win public trust and the dismissal of credible scientific warnings ultimately doomed the project, wasting enormous sums of public money in the process. It stands as a silent, empty valley, a multi-million-dollar hole in the ground. It is a stark reminder that the cost of not listening to environmental concerns and public sentiment can be measured not only in dollars, but in the erosion of trust between a government and its people. It is the ultimate pointless project, one that consumed vast resources only to be abandoned before it could even begin its intended function, leaving behind nothing but a scar on the land and a cautionary tale for the future. Outro. From the skeletal frame of a luxury resort to the silent void of an unused landfill, these projects paint a vivid picture of ambition, miscalculation, and consequence. They are more than just financial failures. They are physical scars on the Barbadian landscape, each telling a unique story of what can go wrong when vision is not aligned with reality. They speak of global economic shocks, of cultural disconnects, of logistical oversights, and of the profound importance of heeding both scientific warnings and the collective voice of the people. These are not just ruins, they are classrooms, offering hard-won lessons in development. The common thread that runs through these stories is the critical need for careful, holistic planning. Development in a place as special as Barbados cannot be a mere exercise in construction and finance. It must be a conversation with the environment, with the community, with the culture, and with the future. The enduring presence of these failed ventures serves as a constant and powerful reminder that the path to sustainable prosperity is paved not just with concrete and steel, but with wisdom, foresight, and a deep respect for the island and its inhabitants. As Barbados continues to grow and evolve, the lessons from these projects are more relevant than ever. They challenge us to ask the right questions, to listen to all voices, and to ensure that the developments of tomorrow do not become the derelict monuments of the day after. The future of this beautiful island depends on it. Which of these failed projects surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments.